from our 7 Tasmania studios. Your nightly news with Peter Murphy begins now.
Hopes are growing tonight that Canberra will step in to ensure the survival of regional airline Rex, now in administration. The airline's gamble to fly major intercity routes has failed, with its competitors now stepping in to help stranded passengers. And locally, many tourism operators and councils are breathing a sigh of relief that the collapse won't impact regional routes. They're remaining cautious though, warning we're not out of the woods just yet, with the full impact of the restructure still unclear.
Business as usual for King Island, but it's been a turbulent few days.
Very happy to hear that the services are going to be staying the same. It was an anxious period there when we first heard the news.
The news Rex Airlines will continue flying into the island, Burnie and Devonport is music to the ears of local operators. With tourism numbers soaring, a halt could have spelled disaster.
Got incredible bookings coming up from September onwards. Our courses are booked, and we're lined up for a very big tourist season.
With the regions relying on Rex, focus now turns to weathering the storm.
Because of our isolation, King Island aviation is our highway number 1 and shipping is our highway 2. We rely critically on aviation.
Fighting to keep regional wings from being clipped.
This morning I contacted the Prime Minister to stress how important Rex's regional services are to Tasmania, particularly the northwest coast.
It would be a disaster for Tasmania and regional economies if Rex were to go under. Labor federally needs to seriously consider stepping in.
Cautiously seeing the shake-up as a chance to hit the reset button.
There is a great opportunity for Rex Airlines to continue to grow with us as demand for air travel to King Island increases.
Holding out hope there's no more permanent landings on the horizon. Victoria Risto, 7 Tasmania News.
Despite admitting the budget is challenging, Tasmania's Treasurer insists that hundreds of millions of dollars worth of state election commitments will be unaffected by ballooning state debt.
Are you now reconsidering your election promises in the best interests of the state?
We intend to keep all of our election commitments. We carefully considered them. We know that they're part of the plan that Tasmanians voted for.
Accused of throwing the Northwest under a bus with the proposed renewable energy zone, Minister Nick Duigan says there's been 2 years of consultation with affected residents. Andrew Wilkie wants to champion health and homelessness, confirming he will run for a 6th federal term in the seat of Clark. The veteran politician, getting in early despite tipping Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, will wait closer to the May deadline before calling the election.
He'll call it when he thinks he can win it. He has said repeatedly he favours going full term. I think that would be in the public interest. I think the community is very wary of cynical politicians who are just timing elections for their own political benefit.
Wilkie's last tilt was funded by Simon Holmes Court's Climate 200. He'll be holding talks with that group again shortly. Franklin Federal MP Julie Collins says Tasmania's salmon industry will be the focus moving forward in her new role as Agriculture Minister. She's traded in her housing portfolio, now responsible for some of the state's critical economic prospects.
I know what a valuable contribution it makes here in Tasmania. It does need to be done sustainably. I think that we can protect our environment and have a thriving industry.
She says it's important to have a Tasmanian representing the sector at a federal level. A laundry truck has caused chaos on the Bass Highway after rolling over north of Elizabethtown this afternoon. The vehicle was travelling towards Devonport before leaving the road and ending up on its roof. Police, fire and the SES were all on hand to extricate the driver, who was taken to hospital. His injuries aren't thought to be serious. Stargazers were treated to a colourful display in the skies above Tasmania last night, with the Aurora Australis putting on another incredible show. Professional and amateur photographers alike turned their lenses towards the heavens to capture the sight from vantage points across the state. It comes just 2 months after the largest geomagnetic storm in 2 decades lit up the skies in both hemispheres. While last night's display wasn't as large for Aurora chasers, it was still spectacular. A man who died in a high-speed crash in Lindisfarne last year was trying to evade police. According to coronial findings, Luke Johnston wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was under the influence of methamphetamine when he collided with another vehicle at 150 kilometres an hour. The coroner says it's likely he drove faster after being detected speeding, adding that all actions of police at the time were entirely appropriate. More healthcare workers are preparing to walk off the job. Tasmanian fertility nurses have rejected Tas IVF's second pay offer, instead voting to step up industrial action. The state's peak nursing union is calling for increased wages in line with interstate counterparts, as well as compensation for time spent scrubbing in.
With rising cost of living pressures, they want to continue to do the really important work that they do, but they also need to be valued and remunerated and supported accordingly.
A stop work meeting will be held at the Hobart Fertility Clinic on Tuesday morning. There are calls for Tasmania to get on board with more virtual hospitals, allowing patients to receive acute level care in the comfort and privacy of their own homes. It's a system being rolled out by Medibank in other states, proving to ease pressure on the health sector.
Healthcare delivered right at your doorstep. It's something Lisa, who's currently recovering from a knee replacement, is hoping to see more of in Tasmania.
Virtual hospitals in Tassie would be perfect to have it in your home, in your own comfort, having friends and family around.
It's a new system in place across other states and is designed to mimic hospital settings, providing acute care by health practitioners to patients with specific conditions, including infections, radiology treatments and transplant recovery.
For those people that can be treated at home, it's really life-changing. They don't have to go into hospital, the risk of infection is lower.
While Lisa's receiving at-home physio care, she thinks embracing a higher level of health service like virtual hospitals would be the right step for Tasmania, especially in helping to ease pressure across public hospitals.
And having somebody coming in to help anybody with anything, not filling up the hospitals with minor patients and having it for the more acute patients.
And it frees up those precious beds that are really under pressure and those doctors and nurses that are in those environments to treat people that really need to be there.
A solution already seeing positive results in South Australia.
So we've had 14,000 patients being treated at home. The satisfaction rating for patients is over 95%.
With hopes Tasmania can have the same success. Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmania News.
17 drivers have been caught speeding through northern school zones as part of a targeted police operation this morning. Officers also detecting mobile phones, speeding, parking and drug driving offences as part of the safety crackdown.
We can be in school zones at any time of the year. Don't just think because it's the first day of the term or the last day of the term, that's the only time police are going to be in school zones.
Police say the goal of this latest operation is to make the journey to school safer for all students. The number of budding rugby stars across the state has grown, with one local club seeing players jump from 0 to 14 thanks to the state government's Ticket to Play sports voucher program. The initiative aiming to increase sport participation and ease some cost of living pressure for families.
Having that voucher is really helpful, and I'm just so grateful that it's there for us and other sports as well.
Really, really important that we don't have a section of the community missing out simply because they can't afford to register for sport.
The scheme has also seen more young girls take up sport. Spirit of Tasmania has signed a contract to relocate its Devonport base of operations from its existing terminal to Terminal 3. The project is expected to be completed by January 2026.
The new infrastructure is actually a 3-level infrastructure, so it's a very large piece of gantry that the ships will discharge and load from.
This project is a pretty significant project for Tasmania, collectively employing over 700 Tasmanians.
BMD Constructions, which delivered Spirit of Tasmania's Geelong Port facility, will oversee the construction of the new terminal with other Tasmanian-based contractors. With a growing number of Australian festivals dimming their lights, one Northern Tasmanian event is busily preparing for its 14th year. Junction Arts Festival organisers are promising to reach new heights, lighting up Launceston for a 4-day springtime celebration.
Tasmania enjoys the arts and really enjoys getting behind festivals, and I think that with the landscape as what it is, I think we're looking forward to everyone coming down and enjoying Junction this year.
The beauty of Launceston's local talent mixed in with the colours of cabaret and circus and dance.
A mix of free and ticketed events begin on September 19. The act of providing a warm coat to those experiencing homelessness has initiated a nationwide drive for 100,000 garments to be donated to Australians without a roof over their heads. Former Prime Ministers donating their coats, Anthony Albanese the latest to follow suit.
More than 122,000 people are currently experiencing homelessness across Australia, and Tasmania isn't immune. The issue coming to the attention of Enormity founder Steve Martin, whose organisation undertook to collect 100,000 winter coats to protect those living homeless from cold winter nights. Prime Ministers now donating their coats.
The young people really wanted to make that message and take it out there about homelessness in Australia. So they wrote to the Prime Ministers and they've asked them if they'd like to donate a coat off their own back.
Anthony Albanese's coat, the latest to be handed over. Tasmanian Labor Senator Anne Urquhart delivering it to the former residents of the state's only Prime Minister, Joseph Lyons.
It's fairly significant that these coats are housed here and looked after here.
It will now keep company with the coats of Australia's Prime Ministers from the past 26 years.
Kevin Rudd, Tony Abbott, he had a short coat, Malcolm Turnbull, Scott Morrison, Julia Gillard.
In 2018, the target of 100,000 coats was reached.
Solving homelessness proving elusive for all former PMs. Tonight in Tasmania, hundreds of those who don't have a place to call home will be sleeping rough. Melinda Ogden, 7 Tasmania News.
Already holding the record as Tasmania's fastest woman at just 18, Chelsea Scollier has the 2028 Olympics front of mind as she prepares for the World Under-20 Championships in Peru next month. Her 4x100 metre relay team recently breaking the Australian record.
We've been competitors for years and now we're coming together to be a team, so it's a sort of a weird feeling, but it's good to be a part of something. I've always really wanted to wear the green and gold, so yeah, I've been waiting for this since I was a little girl, and yeah, it's finally coming true.
The Maris Burney student holds every 100 metre state record from under-13s to opens. There's a huge hit to Lauderdale's TSL Premiership prospects, losing star Sam Siggins for the rest of the season. The 3-time Alistair Lynch medalist heading for surgery after breaking his ankle at training. He's booted 26 goals for the Bombers in 11 games so far this season, scoring almost half their points in Saturday's loss to the Northern Bombers. While some of their teammates play in Paris, the rest of the Jack Jumpers are having a pre-season hit out this week. The mini camp is a chance to get reacquainted with the court and acquainted with the club's newest signings. In new colours for a new season, Ruben Turangi is hitting the ground running after arriving from Auckland on Monday. A last-minute signing just last week as a replacement for Jack McVeigh.
Huge shoes to fill, but I don't think anyone could fill them as well as he played in those shoes, so I'm just going to try to bring as much as I can bring.
Although with highlights like this, maybe he'll slot right in. Still, there's a need to make sure he isn't overcome by the pressure of living up to his predecessor.
He's been a guy that's been sitting outside hoping to get a roster spot. And, Majuk Dang was in the exact same spot as he was last year. There is no expectation other than for him to come in and just do what we ask.
And there's no shortage of talent capable of helping plug the gap.
We have plenty of guys with Majuk Dang and Fab and guys to play Jack's spot, and we'll move those pieces around.
After a call from his agent, Ruben's decision to join the Ant Army was easy.
The culture runs strong from the outside looking in. You can see their culture when they play the game and the way they hold themselves day in, day out.
And there's the added bonus of joining forces with the notorious MyState Bank Arena home crowd.
Being the visitor, it's a tough stadium to play at, but I'm glad I'm on the good side of it now.
Development signing Roman Sulepa heads back to school in Brisbane after the camp, where there's a buzz of excitement as 3 championship teammates chase Olympic medals.
Tuned in pretty much every night. It's great to see them doing well. I was so happy for them all when they made the team.
And that's Tonight in Sport, Math.
Thanks very much for that, Nick. After the break, Kaya Wicks with the weather.
Good evening. 12 degrees all round today for Hobart, Launceston, Devonport and Burnie. The high 13 recorded on King Island, St Helens and Strawn. 12 also for Flinders Island, Low Head and Grove. We saw 11 at Luncheon Hill and Ouse, 10 for Marai Island and 6 degrees for Lyweni. Cloudy conditions were seen today about the majority of the state with the exception of the north. Now with that, cloud is seen here rotating around an area of low pressure over the Tasman Sea. Tomorrow a ridge will shift over Tasmania, Victoria and the majority of the New South Wales coast. Winds 5 to 15 knots, mainly southeasterly about eastern waters, with west to southwesterly swells increasing up to 3.5 metres. We have a road weather alert for the central north, central plateau, Midlands, Upper Derwent Valley and the southeast tomorrow. A reminder as always to please stay safe and arrive at your destination. Partly cloudy skies for the south tomorrow, Hobart 12 and 13 for both Cygnet and New Norfolk. Another frost for Launceston with 13 the maximum, 13 also for Devonport, partly cloudy there. A frosty start for Campbelltown with 12. A chance of showers for Burnie 12, cloud likely for Strawn and Smithton with 13. Possible showers for the east, St Helens and Swansea 13 and 12, the top 4 Fingal. To the 3-day forecast now. Friday, fine after areas of morning frost and fog, clearing to a fine day apart from showers about the north and the northwest. Saturday showers about the west and north, briefly extending to remaining districts throughout the day, then contracting to the west later. And Sunday, showers, although little, reaching the east. Rain on the way for Perth tomorrow, 16 the top there. Fine in Adelaide, 18, a shower or 2 for Sydney, 16. 23 for Alice Springs after a morning frost. Hobart, partly cloudy, 8 degrees right now. Clear in Launceston with 7 and also in Devonport. Good to be back in the studio with you, Murph. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Certainly we'll look forward to that. Thanks, Kaya. And that's all our news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.